falling, running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. Get up in the morning, you see that crazy sun. Keep me in your heart for a while. The train will leave at night, they call it said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts, take me to your dreams. Touch me when I fall into you. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit. I'll be right next to you. Engine drivers head north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep on turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la, la-la-la-la-la. Keep me in your heart for a while.
and I'll be changed from this creature that I am. There'll be peace in the valley for me someday. There'll be peace in the valley for me. And no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I see. There'll be peace in the valley. There'll be peace in the valley for me.
So, a simple song that I wrote first for the message this morning that we're all decided to do. But first, a question. Would everyone, well, let me put it this way. If you have a perfect family, a perfect extended family, with no unique or wacky relatives, please raise your hand. Oh, okay. You have such good attitudes. Well, count your blessings because you are in a very unique place. The reality is most of us have unique families, some unique and memorable relatives. And that's partly what the story for this morning about the prodigal son is all about. Kind of a different sort of family. And so to illustrate the fact that we all have somewhat wacky, unusual, unique families, I wrote this song, and it's entitled, Got a Crazy Uncle with a Crooked Toupee. Got a crazy uncle with a crooked toupee. Welcome to the club. Got a pink aunt who sells for Mary Kay. Welcome to the club. Got a punk niece who dyed her hair blue. Welcome to the club. And a young nephew who's a little cuckoo. Welcome to the club. That's family life for most of us. Things are never dull. I don't mean to be negative and put dysfunctional. Got a brother who's a little shady. Welcome to the club. Or a sister who's a crazy cat lady. Welcome to the club. If you got a grandma who can't hear a thing. Welcome to the club. Or a wacky cousin with a belly button ring. Welcome to the club. Don't you think about casting a stone. The truth of the matter is you're not alone. Just like you, I got crazy kin. When I look at them, I fit right in. So don't you think only your family's weird, 'cause you're part of a club. See another member if you look in the mirror. Welcome to the club. Thank you, gentlemen. So, a kind of a two-part message today, and it's on the prodigal son. Zach's going to read that for us in just a moment. In a sermon that Barbara Brown Taylor, a renowned author and fine preacher, offered at the Fourth Presbyterian Church in Chicago a few years back, she cut right to the chase when she spoke out in that storied pulpit and said, most families are weird. And I think Brown Taylor hits the nail on the head. Most of us, most of our families, sing in something less than perfect harmony. And if you are one of those families that seems to sing in perfect harmony or has an Ozzie and Harriet or Leave It to Beaver kind of life, well then count your blessings, because I don't think that's the norm. Truth be told, that my extended family fits far more the Barbara Brown Taylor idea of weirdness. Now, our family is very small. It's gotten bigger over the years, happily. But our family is so small, this is a true story. At my grandmother's funeral about 30 years ago in the little town of Geneva, Illinois, every family member who was in attendance at the memorial service could sit on one couch in the front of the funeral home. That's a pretty small family. And my wisecracking brother Bob, 4 years older, as we're leaving the memorial service said, "Geez, we're the only family and I know that who could have a reunion in a mid-sized car." Our family's small, but we too fit Brown Taylor's vision of weird family. And if we're not weird, there's at least some sadness, some badness, and some madness. Over the years, I've had 3 uncles. One uncle was born in the 1920s. He's a juvenile diabetic, and they knew nothing about that terrible disease back then. And he lived to be 60 years old, which is incredible, but he lived such a sheltered life because they knew so little about the disease that he never really lived. And there was another uncle, speaking of badness, frankly, who swindled money from our family. As for the madness, my final uncle, well, he was a successful entrepreneur turned evangelist whose zeal for Christ and for gaining converts for the kingdom was so intense and so passionate that he didn't pay any attention to a few needy relatives just a few miles away. So this notion of Barbara Brown Taylor's that most families are weird certainly rings true in our family. And I bet this morning, if this were like Bozo's Circus, who grew up in Chicago area and saw Bozo's Circus? Quite a few of you. Do you remember the grand prize game? So on the camera, they'd have these arrows that would go back and forth like this, and then they'd scan over all the people in the crowd, and then they'd stop right there. And if they stopped on you and your face was in between the arrows, then you were picked for the grand prize game. Well, I bet if we did that today with all of you, the odds are that wherever those arrows landed, the face in between would have their own stories to tell about their unique family. And today's much-loved story of the prodigal son is about a kind of wacky, dysfunctional family. Now, the family in the story of the prodigal son is a family of some means. It's believed that they lived on a rather large farm. And as I read the story, or as Zach reads the story in just a moment, keep in mind that there are 3 key players in this story that Charles Dickens says is absolutely the greatest story in the entire Bible. Ralph Waldo Emerson says the story of the prodigal son is the single best story that's ever been told. Janet Hunt puts it this way: the reason the story of the prodigal son is so powerful and so meaningful for us is because every one of us can see ourselves somewhere in that story, whether we identify with the wayward son, or the righteous good boy son who stays at home, or the father whose love couldn't be contained because all he wanted to do was be with his kids. And this morning, what I'd love for you to do as you hear the story and as I share a few other thoughts on it is think about where you fit in the story. Is it with the prodigal son, the loving father, or the very frustrated older brother? Listen in a way so that you can answer the question, with whom do I identify? And what does that say about me?
Love is such a curious thing. Makes you wanna cry, makes you wanna sing, makes you wanna put down roots or steal
its light on you for the rest of your life. Oh, love, you opened up my eyes. Oh, love, won't you take me for a ride? Oh, love, you opened up my eyes. Oh, love, won't you take me for a ride? Love is such a beautiful thing. Shines like gold and it smells like spring. Love gives you someone you can hold on to on the stormiest nights. Makes you try to smile when your mind goes numb. Sends your troubles back to where they come from. Love is a pot of gold that the rain goes in. Oh, love, you opened up my eyes. Oh, love, won't you take me for a ride under the stars tonight?
Luke 15:11 through 32. There's a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare? But here I am, dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father's, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he's found.' And they began to celebrate. Now, his elder brother, the elder son, was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother's come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he's got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years, I've been working like a slave for you. And I've never disobeyed your command, yet you have never given me a young goat so that I may celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours comes back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes. You killed the fatted calf for him." Then the father said to him, "Son, you are always with me. All that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and he's been found."
Thank you, Zach. So 3 people we're thinking about in this story. We began with the prodigal son, who evokes emotions for most of us ranging from pity to rage. We don't know much about him. We don't know if the reason that he goes to the father asking for inheritance is because he has a chip on his shoulder, that he's the younger brother and he's not going to get anything near what his older brother will, who will inherit the farm. Or we don't know if he's a type A who's just so filled with energy that he can't wait to go out into the world and make things happen. And we don't know if he's just an immature wild man who can't wait to go out and sow some wild oats. Maybe it's all of the above. But what we do know about him is he has the you-know-whats to go to his father and ask him for his share of the inheritance while his father is still well and still alive. Now, I've preached on this story a number of times. We've talked about it in Bible studies. And some of you have told me this has actually happened in your family, where a sibling or another relative has gone to their parent and sought inheritance while their parent was still alive. Personally, it seems incomprehensible to me, and that feeling is shared almost worldwide in every single culture of which I'm aware. Kenneth Bailey has written what Henry Nouwen calls a penetrating exploration of the prodigal son that demonstrates how asking for inheritance while a father is still alive is tantamount to saying, "Father, it's okay. You might as well be dead." He writes, "For over 15 years, I've been asking people from all walks of life, from Morocco to Turkey to India to the Sudan, about the implications of a son requesting inheritance while their father is still living. The answer has always emphatically been the same, with the conversation going something like this: Has anyone ever made such a request in your village? Never! Could anyone ever make such a request? Impossible! If anyone did, what would happen? Their father would beat them. Why? Because the request means that he wants the father to die. So not only does the son rather audaciously ask for his inheritance while his father is still alive, he also seeks the right to do with it as he pleases. Normally, if you were to ask for the inheritance ahead of the time, the father might have the ability to live off the proceeds, but that's not what the younger son wants. What he wants is to have that money and to do with it as he pleases. And so the father, in the Greek it says, The words are deleon, otos, ton bion, which means he divided his life among them. It's as if for the younger son, taking the money, leaving the family, and being able to do with it as he pleases, is treating the father as if he's dead. And you know how this story goes. When the younger son gets the money, he blows through it. In Greek, it reads, dis corp eisend, which means literally, the money was scattered throughout. He threw it every which way. He lives quite literally as if there's no tomorrow, and for him there almost was not. In short time, he gets to the place where none of the inheritance is left. He's penniless and so down and out that he has nowhere to go. Mind you, in the first century Middle East, there wasn't a cool food pantry to go to. There wasn't a PADS shelter. He was penniless and living like an animal, eating the pods, the leftover pods that were fed to the pigs. And so he has no choice but to go home, and with his tail firmly planted between his legs, and with a great plan to apologize to his father, hoping that even if his father still disowns him, he can get taken on by the family as a hired hand. We don't know if the son is truly sincere or contrite or repentant or humble. We just know he's at the end of his rope and there's nowhere else to turn. And so he goes to speak to his father. That's his only hope left in life. Do you relate to the prodigal? Is there a time in your life where you've turned your back on your family? Do you relate more, though, to the father? As New Testament professor David Luce offers, the father gives life to his son 3 times. First, when he and his mother give him the gift of life. Second, when he gives him bion, the Greek word for his inheritance. And finally, he gives to the son a 3rd time when he welcomes him back from the dead. And the question about the father is this: is the father just plain foolish? When you have turned the other cheek for your child or for a sibling or someone else in your family for, who knows, 100th time, a 500th time? Have you had family members call you foolish? Or is the father the most loving of all people? And then when the son who strutted down the road as he left his family and his home, big man with pockets bulging with cash, and then he shuffles home, head down, probably tears in his eyes, having squandered everything that the father had earned in his lifetime, or the son's share. What the father does is he runs. The Greek says he literally runs to the son and falls on his neck with compassion, and he kisses him. I think you and I can picture that kind of compassion in the United States of America in the year 2017. That kind of parental love for a child that goes the extra mile in unbelievable ways. But as Eric Pearson writes, in the Middle East in the 1st century, it's absolutely not the kind of thing that is the norm. Running in Palestine in the 1st century was considered gauche and graceless. And for someone who heard this story told by Jesus, it's a story of a father surrendering his dignity and forgiving with no hint of hesitation, lavishing the younger son with expressions of acceptance and love. And as soon as the father is done kissing and hugging and sharing tears with his youngest son, what does he do? He immediately calls Rick the butcher at the daily grind to prepare the fatted calf. He's going to throw a party like no party before, because his son, who might as well have been dead, is now returned and is alive. Do you relate to the Father and the kind of love that goes the extra mile and then some? Finally, there's one last person in the story. Do you relate to the older brother? We meet him when the party is just beginning. He's doing the kind of thing that he's done all his life. He's quietly working in the fields, supporting the family, doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's the kind of kid that would never find himself in the principal's office or the back of a squad car after a few bad Saturday night decisions. He's a straight arrow, and he can't begin to imagine what's going on back at the house. But he hears word from one of the slaves that his rather low-life brother had actually returned and was coming back to the house. And his rage can't be contained. This National Honor Society type student brother can't imagine that his little brother, who had caused such incredible heartache for his parents, is now back. And on top of it, the single most precious animal for that family, the fatted calf, which they had saved for the most precious religious ritual, was now going to not be used for a religious ritual. It was going to be slaughtered for a party for his rat of a little brother. The father comes out to plead with his older son. To go to the Greek one more time gives us insight. The phrase is parakaleo. It means the father begs the older son even to the point of absolute humiliation, begging him to please join the party. And the older brother, what does he do? He lets him have it right between his teary eyes. And in the process, he disassociates himself with his brother, and he says, "This son of yours." You ever said that? Honey, do you know what your child has done? This son of yours, and then he probably makes a bunch of stuff up, and he says, "This son of yours who has devoured your living with prostitutes. And all these years, I have worked so lovingly and dutifully for you, and I haven't gotten squat, and you throw a party for him?" Do you relate to the older brother who made all the right moves in life, yet feels unappreciated and angry? Do you relate to the spirited prodigal or to the loving father? There have been studies which ask the question, which of the three do most people who hear the story relate to? Any guesses? More people raise their hand and relate to the older brother than either the prodigal or the father. You know, we see ourselves in this story, most of us, which is why it's so loved. But I think Jesus tells the story for another reason. And that's to help us get a handle on the God to whom we belong. Because we find and we belong to a God whose love and grace is symbolized by the baffling, go the extra mile love of the Father. As Paul reminds us in Corinthians, true love, the kind of love that God has for us, keeps no record of wrongs. And so God, like that loving story, or like the loving father in the story of the prodigal son, is so overjoyed by our return. when we live lives that have gone away from God, that the nature and volume of our sin does not matter. That's probably worth saying again. The nature and volume of our sin does not matter to God. And maybe we also belong to a God with the wisdom to do something many of us cannot do, which is this: recognize that maintaining a relationship is sometimes more important than being right. Maintaining a relationship is sometimes more than being right. That father humiliated himself, didn't he? Didn't matter. What mattered to him was maintaining a relationship and believing what it could be down the road. And finally, when the father who's goes over the top running to meet his son down the road, it doesn't matter that the son had prepared an apology. Maybe for us, what in the end matters is not our words that we offer to God, but instead that we, after turning our lives away from God, simply point our lives in God's direction, just like the prodigal son. Amen. This offertory is a song that was written a number of years ago by Sara Groves. We actually had a friend of ours, Christina Trulio, sing it just a few weeks back, a month back. It's called To the Moon, and we have added a couple verses just for the community church. It's kind of a ridiculous song in many ways, and we think a wonderful fit for Fat Sunday. It was there in the bulletin, we're leaving soon, after the bake sale to raise funds for fuel. The rocket is ready and we're going to take our church to the moon. There'll be no one there to tell us we're on, no one to change our opinions of God, just lots of rocks in this dusty sod, here in our church on the moon. We know our liberties, we know our rights, we know how to fight a very good fight. Just grab that last bag there and turn out the light. We're taking our church to the moon. We'll rent us a chapel, we'll find us a beach. The moon is surely a great place to preach. Just grab the vibes and the ukuleles too. Community church on the moon. Well, other churches who've said that we're odd, the joke's on them, 'cause now we're closer to God, with a smile on our face and a song in our hearts. Community church on the moon. Community church on the moon. We'll be leaving soon. Friends, go out of the world with a smile on your face, with a song in your heart, and recognize that we are loved by God, just as that extraordinary, extraordinary Father simply, absolutely could not turn his back on his Son, no matter what happened. Go in peace. And the people said, Amen. Must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's help did slowly go by, and feed them all your dreams, the ones they fix, the ones you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh, and know they love you. And you of tender years can know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's health will slowly go by.